Hey, hello. It is Thursday, September the 5th, 2019. And good Lord, y'all, I'm about to be worn out. Y'all just wear me out. Sometimes there's like having a few puppies that like get out of the pen. So here's the deal. I'm going to straighten this out right now. I posted in July that I wanted you to write your stories and send me your stories and provide pictures so that we could tell other people about the stories collectively. As I go out and I speak, whether I speak to legislators or just other people, judiciary people, other attorneys, I have to be able to tell the story, and we have got to put these stories in the hands of other people. And we had a DC convoy in July the 30th, and I reached out to some people. I know Kathleen Arthur has been working really hard in DC to get our meeting set up. And so we scuttled around and we got some people all set up to go. July 30th, I could not go. Marissa Hamilton went, Terry LaPointe went, Kathleen Arthur was there, Whitney Manning, and then I know there's some Title IV-D people there, and I am so sorry. I do not know who all those people that were because I was not there, and all I could do was just follow up with a few people. So as a follow-up to that, we planned a September trip to DC. Now, for those of you who've been with us for a while, you would know that this is not the first time we've been to DC. There's been September trips to DC probably about 4 or 5 times now. I know one year I did not go. The first year there was a march, went pretty well. I don't know who the organizers were, honestly. Million Parent March is what they called it. And then some other people decided they were going to organize something else. And, I'm like, just organize it. I'll show up. I will tell you, folks, I am not an event planner, okay? I am not an event planner. Not that I don't want to be or couldn't be, but I have so many other things that I am trying to do and work on. And a lot of that has to do with actually changing laws. And there's 2 ways to change laws. It's either to write a really compelling brief in a lawsuit, or it's to get the legislature to change it. All right, if y'all be patient here, I'm going through my tagathon here so we can get this passed around. Have that done here. That's why my eyes are rolling all over the place. Okay, all right, that's enough. If y'all can share it, that'd be great. So we planned a DC trip. I've spoken to legislators before. The burden I always run into is they think that story is unique. They think when I talk about how parents are abused in the child welfare system, that it's unique. Maybe I have 1 client or 2 clients, or I'm just trying to defend somebody or get somebody out of trouble. And it doesn't matter how many times I say it, it's not the stories of people are not heard. In February of this year, 2019, I did get the opportunity to go and speak to the committee on the new committee. We used to have a committee called Child and Family Committee. They abolished that, and that was in about 2010, years ago. Finally, this year we got the legislature we didn't get them to do it. The new governor at least did it. Got a committee called the Child and Family Committee to deal with issues related to DCS. I went and I spoke to them. I asked to take families there, and they were like, well, no, we'll just listen to you. And so I didn't get to take families there to speak. I have taken families to talk before the county commission, before the indigent task force. It's always compelling to hear the stories of families. So I have asked for people to write their story. I asked for 1 page, and I asked to send some pictures, and Sarah Carter had offered to put it together in a collage so we could use it for a book cover. So I had set a deadline of August the 10th, so I would have plenty of time to get it organized for the trip to DC, which I am leaving on this Saturday, September the 7th. And of course, y'all didn't make August the 10th. What can I say? Y'all didn't keep it to 1 page. And then I posted, I need some other states. So then I got in a bunch more letters. So I do have a ton of letters. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. Y'all did such a great job. Now, as I've also always said, Family Forward Project is public. Okay, pictures that you post there of your family are public. They're for public disbursement, disposal, pass around, distribution. If y'all don't know that yet, y'all don't know what public forums are, okay? So I have, so I got the book, and what I did is, I think I have a version here. I'm ready to go on it. The very first one, if you're listening, is Samantha Clayton, because she happens to be in Alabama. So on every single story up in the corner, I wrote the state initials so that I could put them in order by state. Do you see that? So I went through every single letter. Some of you sent letters on like ripped out notebook paper, and it's okay, because you know what? I said, I know you got a piece of paper laying around. You can write your story. And so for those of you who sent it on crumpled up paper or paper that, are printed this big, I printed it on regular paper and then put the state up in the corner. All right. So some of them, if they were too long, I could not include it, but there are some that are more than one page. So you all did a great job, though. So many of them. I'm so excited. And some of you were so nice and neat, and you wrote this nice, neat little letters. All right, so once I got through that, and then I put them together, I had to get them all scanned at a high concentration DPI, which took me a lot of time to do. And then I went through the pages that had space on them, because sometimes y'all would leave a little space at the end. So you see this. So I had to go through all of those pages that had space, and I was not going to leave that blank. So then I had to write a message, and our Stop Separating American Families ban ASFA, defund ASFA, join Family Forward Project, similar things, stop forced adoptions, etc. I went through all these pages and added. All right. So it's added a couple little images and stuff, because I didn't want empty space, and I wanted our message repeated throughout. So I did all of that. All right, then I also decided after I got the stories put together, that it would be really important to put information in there from other authorities or other stories other than our personal stories. So I put in a few things in the back, and it ended up being about, let me see here. Well, it's almost 100 pages of it. But what I did is there are a few things I thought were really important, because they always want to know authority. They always want to know what's going on. If you're talking to anybody who has the power to make a change, whether it's somebody running for office, whether it's somebody who's already in office, whether it's somebody who's heard rumors or seen something on the news. So I started with the study that was recently published on out-of-home placement in early childhood and psychiatric diagnosis and criminal convictions in young adulthood, a population-based propensity-scored match study. Okay, what that means is this is a study from Finland where they went through and they looked at children who were the subject of some type of abuse report, whether they were left at home and the family was rehabilitated or they were put in foster care, and what their long-term results were. So this was a study of findings of 54,814 people, and so I can't tell you how many years. I didn't read it that close. I got to go back and read it. All right, so I included that study because it's important for people to know outcomes. I mean, there's all kinds of stats we could give. We could give stats on foster care to prison, etc., foster care to lack of education, foster care to lower income, etc. All right, then there's a few other things. Medical Kidnap, a couple of stories for Medical Kidnap. I had contacted Medical Kidnap and make sure I could do some reprints. They were fine with that. There is an AP story about North Carolina County illegally removing children. I thought was a really good story. There are some stories that you all will remember about foster placement. There was the mother of 6 in Oregon who drove off the cliff with all those foster kids in her car. There is a tragic story of a little girl out of Georgia who got killed in foster care. Oh yeah, I did have to include this. I did have to include my arrest. The news story on my arrest. I thought that was interesting to catch some attention. I got a story about an Idaho foster care case. Let me see what else I got here. Failed by the system, foster parents devastated after police say boys killed by biological mothers. So this was a case in which it talks about the return of children, and it's really just about to show their incompetency. And, we are about child welfare reform. And, there are people, we've had tons of people join our group. What I do with my lives now is I'm able to download them from Facebook, put them up on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. I always tag it for child welfare reform, CPS corruption, etc. And I've had lots of people, tons of people join our Family Forward Project in Facebook because they've been able to find videos on YouTube. So it's real important. We are child welfare reform. We are public, okay? Key things there going on. If y'all think I'm getting rich being an advocate in child welfare reform, you are a fool. Okay, I would be much better off as a divorce attorney. Do you hear me? So stop this nonsense of crazy, stupid nonsense, okay? I'm trying to change laws, and the only way I can do that is to dig in and spend my time writing briefs, okay? I wrote one today. I'm going to tell you about in just a minute. I'm still not done with it. There's a story about Kentucky and Indiana having really high child abuse rates, Illinois child welfare system under attack, the Ninth Circuit approving the class action for Arizona, the Indiana class action lawsuit, the Oregon class action lawsuit, the New York class action lawsuit, and let's see, and the Texas class action lawsuit to show them that those things are going. I put in some cases of jury awards here from Philadelphia. Where else are they from? Oregon, etc. Okay, so Seattle, Indiana, etc. All right, so that is what the book looks like. It ends up, I took out some pages. I had put in some of my blog posts. I took them out. I decided they weren't necessary. That was about 20 pages. So we're at about 10 pages. So we're at about 311 pages. I am doing the color collage for the front and back. I removed a photograph where there was an objection, and y'all, you put your picture up, and so I snatched one of and said, use mine if you need one. So I actually snatched somebody's picture and stuck it in there, so everything looks fine. All right. Now, a lot of people have also posted, I didn't get in the book. Okay, so just hold on. Write your one-page story. Make sure you put your name. Make sure you put your state. Make sure you tell what they did to you in violation of your constitutional rights. Refuse to give your children back, secret courts, lying, dishonest information, crooked psychologists, crooked guardian ad litems, etc. Put those stories in there so that we can show the repeated patterns. Go ahead and get your letter written. I will repost, or you can look at the event under the August 10th event, has my mailing address. You can go ahead and keep mailing those letters. I've had a few new ones come in. I have a separate little pile for that. Of all the ones I got up to about Friday of last week, I was able to get in. There were only like 3 or 4 that did not have a state in it, and I wanted the state identified. So what I'll do when I can circle back around and have time, I will try to get those people to identify those states so I can include them in the next round. Also, as to pictures, again, we picked some pictures because I just wanted the faces of families to appear. When I have done presentations, I have often showed pictures of children because we have to make sure that people understand that these are real families. These are not just case files. These are not just statistics that are showing up in Title 4E reports. Okay, this is not statistics showing up in the DCS annual report. These are real people, real children, real families. Okay, that's why having just a smattering of photographs is so important. I know that Nancy Barton in South Dakota has done this incredible fence. I'm going to get her fence in a picture somehow. Also, I saw somebody post that they were working on some legislative presentations, and they were going to use some of my presentations that they have found, either my legislative presentation, my indigent task force, some of my other YouTube presentations, you are welcome. You are welcome to use that. You just, if you're a tech person and can just download them, that's fine. Some of those things I have downloaded, some of them I do not. So, we have, Wendy and I did several lives, and you can use any of our lives too, because we talk about a lot of things. All right, so that is what I'm doing. So what I got so interrupted today, I was trying to write a brief about guardian ad litems, okay? It's so important for me to be able to have real, focused, intellectual time to write this information, because basically guardian ad litems have had immunity since 1984, guys. How long ago is that? 94, 2004, 14, 35 years, okay? For 35 years, they've had immunity, and every time somebody tries to bring a case up, they just use this blanket clause that guardian ad litems have immunity. And I'm going to tell you what part of the problem is. Oh my gosh. So it's so obvious that so many people have pro se tried to file cases in federal court related to their cases in family court. It's really kind of sad because so many of the same arguments are raised, but they don't know the law and they don't know how to do good legal analysis. All right. So what happens is they may accuse the guardian ad litem of being biased, prejudicial, etc. And what happens is somebody files a motion to dismiss and says, well, in 1984, there was a court ruling that said guardian ad litems were immune. So we have this series of cases from pro se litigants. They don't know how to address it. They don't know how to combat it. They don't know how to analyze and give a legal argument in opposition to that. And so we have like dozens of cases out there that just blanketly says a guardian ad litem has immunity. So I have been working on Miss Wendy's case today. I know she's on there. So in her case, we named the guardian ad litem. I hesitated to do it because I knew I would face this battle. I have 14 defendants. I hate to have 14 defendants because that means there's going to be like 20 attorneys on the other side of me. It means I'm going to have like 14 motions to dismiss I'm going to have to answer. It is not fun. I did not want to do it this way. But this guardian ad litem was so horrible. She's just horrible. Sarah Cripps was so horrible in what she did. Coercing the witness, cutting us out of foster care review board meetings, calling the police at the foster care review board meetings to shut us up, First Amendment retaliation, etc. So I'm like, I got to do it. I got to name her. Tried to be very careful in the complaint. And I know we're being watched. They'll probably watch this. They'll probably pull it, whatever. But I'm just telling you. So facing the immunity and state actor arguments in the motion to dismiss is what I'm trying to drill down legally on today while I'm dealing with all the Family Forward Project chaos, okay? So y'all need to be good. Stop. Leave me alone and let me work, okay? So anyway, I'm going to tell you basically the theory, because a lot of people ask, what about federal lawsuits? What about federal lawsuits? Please don't do it yourself. I'm just telling you, you don't know how to do it, okay? You don't know. 1983 actions are so hard and so complicated. They will do a Rule 12 motion on you, dismiss your case, throw it out. And then we'll have some really bad case law out there that attorneys who are trying to change laws will have to work with. So what I've done is I've had to go back in time and do a full legal analysis of why guardian ad litems were granted immunity in the first place. And so they were granted immunity because they were considered an integral part of the judicial process. The same thing with court-appointed psychologists, with prosecutors, okay, with some other functions like that. But when you look at it, district attorneys only have absolute immunity under certain circumstances, and that is when they are advocating for the state's position. That's the only time they're granted immunity. And here's a real slight distinction, and this is what I want to tell you. This is the kind of thing you have to watch for. A prosecutor, which would include an attorney for CPS, has immunity from allowing somebody to give false testimony. Okay? They can know it's false. They can allow the witness to testify, and they have absolute immunity from that witness giving false testimony. However, if you can show that they coerced a witness outside of the courtroom or threatened a witness to give false testimony, then they don't have absolute immunity. And that is the kind of distinction that you have to look for when you're looking at a civil rights action. So in our case, we allege that the guardian ad litem coerced the child to change her testimony. So that is the distinction. And so I'm showing that you have to go back and you have to look at the function of the guardian ad litem and not just this series of cases that says guardians have immunity. The other thing is that's never been considered before by the court is that under Tennessee law, a guardian ad litem has a duty to inform the court if the child's request for advocacy is different than what the guardian ad litem is advocating for. Okay, that is I am saying that is a vested constitutional due process right under Tennessee law, but the guardian ad litem has to institute it. So I'm saying that her failure when she knew that in 2 months after the child was in custody, and she did not tell the court that there was a difference and a distinction in what the child wanted versus what she wanted, that she violated the child's due process right, and the child had no other option. So the case law looks at a guardian ad litem like a public defender, like a court-appointed criminal defender. It is not the same because those kind of rights do not attach for a criminal defendant. That is one right a child has that is distinctly different than a criminal defendant. So that's the kind of thing I'm facing. I'm also facing whether or not they're a state actor. There's a series of cases that says they're not state actors and yet they have immunity. So it's just really bizarre. Those are the kind of twisted, illogical legal arguments that have built up over the past 40 years that I'm trying to unwind. Okay, so that's what I've been working on. So y'all got to let me work on those things and quit creating such nonsense. The other thing I'm working on, which is so critically important, is about prepetition investigative orders. I have a claim out that those orders are unconstitutional. It says that the state can order a parent, even a non-offending parent, to produce their child for an interview. And I'm trying to defend the rights of parents by saying that if there is no allegation of abuse against you, that you cannot be denied your parental right, which includes the right to the care, custody, and control of your child. And so they can't just go snatching up your child when there's no showing or no probable cause on a non-offending parent as to any claim of harm, substantial risk of harm. Nobody's ever challenged this, folks. All these horrible laws have been created because nobody has stepped forward and challenged these things. And because of the way the system works, they don't get challenged, okay? Because people get so caught up in it and so lost in the system, they can't challenge it. So we had a hearing last Friday, and the judge, I argued constitutionality and jurisdiction issues. The judge, who was a special appointed judge, heard it. He denied my constitutionality argument and my jurisdiction argument. He did stay it for a period of time so I could file an appeal with the Court of Appeals. But it's pretty clear that even in his own ruling, he had some uncertainty. And so he gave the state the opportunity to file a proposed order and then said that I would have the right to file a competing proposed order. I had to do it within 3 hours. Okay, these are the kinds of deadlines I'm under during the day. All right, every day I got some kind of freaking deadline hanging over my head. I lose sleep over it. So I had to focus on that order, and then I sent it to the DCS attorney just to ask if he would agree to it. He's like, no, of course. He said no. And so we sent him to the judge, and guess what? The judge signed my order, not the DCS order. So it was just a matter of clarity. I mean, it was the same ruling ultimately, but it laid out things to be much more clear as to the appeals. So I've got to work on that. I've got to work on that tomorrow. Plus I have another thing I'm under a deadline for. So, and I'm trying to get out of town. Whenever I go out of town for 5 days, I am totally like in a rush, right? Because you never know what's going to happen while I'm done. I've got other cases pending. I thought I was going to have a trial in Knoxville last week, and we're getting that bumped and moved on. So, and I'm not going to talk about that right now. Okay, so that's where we are. One last thing I want to show you, this my little handy dandy thing. I posted this on purpose. Y'all, I posted this morning. I have a body cam. I'm going to show it to you. It's so cool. Hang on. So they have these little body cams. You see this on, I think I got this one on Amazon. They actually post it on Facebook sometimes. I think the one on Facebook they posted for like $29. I think I paid about $39 for it. I'm not sure it's the same one. I've just barely tested it. I'm going to test it out a little bit and share some of it just so we can see what it looks like. But I did that on purpose because you know what? I have said for 3 years now that social workers need body cams. If somebody's going to come into your house and do an investigation, do a walk through your house, if they're going to talk to your child at school, they need a body cam on. They need to be able to preserve that. About 4 years ago, one of our state legislators did try to pass a law that they would record any interview if they had a child with a child, and DCS refused to do it. Okay? These things are like $39. Just imagine how much money it would save the taxpayers if they had investigative tools like they're supposed to have. It would keep them from lying, okay? I record. I say this all the time. Record. I recorded. I was on the phone with a mom who had a home walkthrough on Monday before I'm going to upload that audio if she gives me permission, because I want you to see I was on the phone with her. They brought the supervisor. They knew I was going to be on the phone with her. They asked her for a drug test. We said no. They started asking her questions about past drug use. I said, no, I don't think we're going to go there. You can do a walkthrough, make sure the house is safe. Okay? You've got to learn how to respond. So they're going to stop stealing our freaking children. Okay? They're going to stop this whole foster care fiasco, foster jail, foster war, whatever you want to call it. Okay. All right, y'all. Body cam and book. I'm heading over to FedEx tonight. Going to get a few of these puppies printed. Going to take some to DC. I'm going to find out how much it costs. I'm going to I'm going to upload it, or I may just upload it. We'll see. Let me see what it looks like. But I will post it several times when I have it ready and available. And you need to use it for a tool to talk to your legislators. You need to learn how to call your state rep. That is your next project. Look up the phone numbers of your state reps and state senators. That's going to be our next message. Especially, I'm just going to say this again, we're bipartisan. I have my own political preferences, but child welfare reform is bipartisan. There is a group called ALEC, A-L-E-C, American Legislators Executive Committee, maybe, something like that. It is an organization for conservative state legislators to belong to. They establish platforms, they established proposed legislation, and they have, I saw an article posted. Hope I saved it. I'm going to have to repost it and talk about it. But I saw where they posted an article about their concerns over child welfare. So you've got to watch for those things in those organizations. All right, baby jail. Yeah, you're right. Oh, and one last thing. I did a post about this. I cannot give you any more information. I had a great media interview this week with a client of mine, and I promised them I wouldn't say who. I promised them I wouldn't say what it was about. It's going to be a little while before they get it posted. We've got to do some more research on it. But of course, I use that opportunity to fill their ear about other DCS issues and the federal funding. So that's it for today. I am going to head out, get some dinner, and make a little trip over to FedEx. So love y'all. Take care. Be good. Be sweet. And calm down, okay? This is a public forum. It is child welfare reform. If you're not interested in child welfare reform and you think it's perfect already, just go someplace else, because you don't need to be involved. If you don't think child welfare needs to be reformed, you don't need to be here. Very simple, okay? That's very simple. If you're a troll just watching, you want to watch what we're doing, that's fine. We don't care. We want you to know what we're doing. But don't be nasty, because we're going to boot you out if you're nasty. Okay? All right. Love y'all. Thanks. See you later. Bye.